Halloween Ends, a movie so disappointing that it quite literally doesn't feel real. When I made my Halloween video a year ago, I did not expect it to do as well as it did, becoming my most viewed video ever on the channel at the time of its release. I made that video as a way of expressing my love for the way David Gordon Green approached the Halloween franchise, opting to wipe the slate clean in favor of making a film that very much modernized the franchise, while still keeping the spirit of what made the original so iconic. So of course, I was excited on the ride to Halloween Ends. It was to be the conclusion of the story, the 40-year battle between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. Well, Halloween Ends is the complete opposite of what I wanted. Was it not enough to make a simple film about Michael Myers versus Laurie Strode? I understand the contradiction. I judged Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania heavily for being a simple popcorn movie, and now that's exactly what I'm asking for with Halloween Ends. First of all, this is why you should never listen to me, and second, certain films and genres have an understanding of what they are, and they don't try to be anything more than that. The Scream requels work perfectly because they understand the core of the franchise. It's a basic whodunit slasher with meta commentary on film and the horror genre. So far, the previous two Halloween films were nothing more than entertaining slashers. There's an element to them that just feels right. It knows what it wants to be and embraces it. So why is Halloween Ends all of a sudden a character study? Not just a character study, but one about Corey Cunningham, a guy who we know absolutely nothing about. And the film decides to be some sort of profound commentary on evil. I've had a year to sit on my thoughts regarding Halloween Ends. I recently thought that rewatching the film would make me feel different about it, but the movie feels so vastly disconnected and warped from the previous two movies that it doesn't even feel like a real sequel. There's a slight genius with taking a completely different direction with this film, as it mirrors the original Halloween trilogy, the first two films taking place within a single night. However, infamously, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch doesn't even have Michael Myers in the film, choosing instead to tell a new story with new characters. The intention was for Halloween to be an anthology series, but after the first two films, it was clear that audiences wanted more Michael Myers. And in a way, I think Halloween Ends suffers from a similar fate. Alright, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. At least the movie tries something new. Lots of people had issues with Halloween Kills, Michael Myers unrealistically surviving a full-on assault, and dumb characters with a stupid side plot. I get it. I personally enjoy Halloween Kills for what it is. David Gordon Green clearly has a love and passion for the Halloween franchise and for the fan base. Of course, a filmmaker doesn't approach a film with the intention of people walking away angry or in disappointment. Artists approach a project with the idea of telling a story they feel is worth telling and wanting to share their passion for that story. It's just that when you put your work out into the world, you're bound to get some criticism. David Gordon Green set out to make something different, something the fans couldn't predict, but still captured the essence of what the Halloween movies represent. More importantly, the essence of Michael Myers. Unfortunately, David Gordon Green proves to be a filmmaker with a voice, but doesn't understand how to convey it properly. I love slashers for their simplicity and filmmakers forcing their way through the genre in creative ways. What makes Halloween unique is the legacy left behind the original, Laurie Strode and Michael Myers' history, and while getting rid of the sibling aspect from the original series, David Gordon Green's films emphasize the relationship between Laurie and Michael because it is unique and makes the story interesting. It gives Michael Myers a sense of character and has Laurie Strode feel like an underdog for most of the story. The original, 2018, and Kills are simple films, and they work because of that simplicity. Corey Cunningham, played by Rowan Campbell, who genuinely gives a great performance, yet his character also serves to be the detriment of the film. Over the course of the series, Michael Myers infected Haddonfield like a sickness. What was once a normal and safe town is now a town filled with trauma and darkness. Corey is the embodiment of that transformation, a simple, nice guy who experiences a traumatic event that changes the course of his life, ultimately putting him on a darker path. Whereas Michael Myers affects the world around him, Corey Cunningham is the result of the world around him, and in a way it binds Corey and Michael together. Over the course of the film, Corey is fighting demons. That choice to be good is getting harder and harder every single day, until by the end he essentially gives into his evil and becomes his own form of the shape. A lot of this film is interesting in concept, but the execution feels off. Exploring a theme and a message through the lens of a character is what storytelling is all about. In the end, storytelling is about the human experience, both good and bad. Some movies have a lot to say, while others are just out to entertain you. Halloween Ends seems to have a real disconnect between the story the filmmakers want to tell and the film that the audience wants to see. Exploring the idea of evil, what circumstances can turn a normal person into a monster like Michael Myers, is an interesting idea, and I will say that for a portion of the film, I think it's done well. While it was the intention to capture the essence of Michael Myers, Halloween Ends feels too different. The introduction of a brand new character in the third act of a story is a bold yet stupid decision, and it hurts the overall story. The entire film rides on whether or not you buy Corey as a character, but the film doesn't give you a lot of time to grow attached to him. If he was an already established character from the previous film, I think it would have given the chance to allow this character change to work. But we don't really get the chance to know Corey before he begins his downward spiral. It's so sudden and makes his art feel forced and even downright moronic at times. This even extends to his relationship with Allison, making a lot of her character in this film feel like a completely different person from who was established in previous movies. Another character who suffered from what feels like a sudden character shift is Laurie Strode. It's established in Halloween 2018 that Laurie has been preparing and waiting for Michael Myers to eventually return. She waited for 40 years. After the events of Halloween Kills, Michael Myers is now missing and at large, but now Laurie suddenly feels like she has to move on and live a normal life. I don't really understand where the shift in her character came from, but it feels so out of left field. It is known that Michael Myers survived and is around somewhere. The Laurie we've known from the previous films wouldn't just lie down and say, "Oh well, nothing we can do about it, time to move on." She'd be hunting Michael Myers to the ends of the earth to put her mind at ease. The film is trying to use Laurie to play into the themes of not letting her evil infect her, and so she chooses to move on, but it completely goes against the character we know. It's not only that she's nearly unrecognizable, but she also feels like just a side character in the final film. Not just Laurie Strode, but Michael Myers. I mean, Michael Myers is only in about 10 minutes of the movie. It really feels like the film didn't really know what to do with him, or Laurie for that matter. The film is meant to build to the big climactic finale between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, but the twists and turns through dark alleys that the story ultimately takes moves the film away from that conflict. Corey Cunningham essentially moves the story away from our core characters. Halloween Kills ends on a cliffhanger. Throughout this one single Halloween night, Michael Myers has been going on a rampage, taking victim after victim. Laurie, her family, and the other residents of Haddonfield are running rampant, trying to find answers and to bring Michael Myers down once and for all. The film continues to build and build tension like a rubber band slowly stretching. And once it feels like it's going to rip apart, it ends, forcing you to wait and see what happens next. But yeah, let's not finish that storyline and introduce a new character. The entire plot hinges on these characters. Their arcs and their emotions are the story. But so many of the creative choices made within that story go against the previously established characters and what they stand for. David Gordon Green sought out to make a film that was purposefully different, and yeah, it's definitely different because it doesn't feel like Halloween. Laurie doesn't feel like Laurie, and Michael Myers is largely missing. It leaves a lot of Halloween Ends feeling hollow and even soulless. It would just be so much better if it wasn't a Halloween movie, let alone the final film of the trilogy. It's like getting to the last chapter of a book, but that last chapter is a whole different book that's a spin-off about a character that wasn't even in the book that you were just reading. In essence, Halloween Ends was an interesting experiment that challenged the franchise's conventions. However, it seems to have lost some of the essence that made the Halloween movies iconic in the first place. The film serves as a reminder that sometimes staying true to the characters and their established arcs can be just as important as introducing fresh ideas. Who cares anymore? Michael Myers is dead. I'll see you guys when they reboot the series in about 5 years.